Calling to order the meeting of the Falmouth Board of Health, joint meeting with the Select Board.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here. As you know, the impetus for this meeting was a memo you sent to our board back, and it's in our packet back a couple of months ago. Oh, geez, I apologize. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I thought you had to pay me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, the impetus for this meeting was a memo that our board received from the Board of Health discussing or wanting to discuss the equitable cost distribution of water quality management planning, and in particular, as has come up with respect to denitrifying IA and septic systems, and is there a way to, in their words, have fair distribution of costs in Falmouth's efforts to meet water quality targets. So I'm going to turn it over to the Board of Health, and you've looked at this a lot, and certainly we want to hear what your thoughts are so that we can hopefully put together some thoughts of our own and policy going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, in the discussions within the Board of Health and with members of the public and with the Water Quality Management Committee, it's become clear that this is quite a complex calculus. There will be quite a few factors involved. And so our thought is that it's worth setting up a committee specifically to address this issue and work through the concepts and develop a consensus plan. And with that, I'll turn it over to the rest of the Board of Health to see what comments they may have. Go ahead, George.
I don't think as the Select Board knows, over the next 10 to 20-ish years, Falmouth is going to be implementing the water quality mitigation projects that the Commonwealth mandated to restore the health of our embayments. The comprehensive set of costs related to all those watershed plans is likely to be more than $1 billion. Across the town, that will include the cost of sewers, waste treatment, an outflow pipe, and the installation, maintenance, and monitoring of 5,000 or 8,000 or more than that denitrifying IA septic systems. Because it's a staggering amount of money, I want to repeat, the town, that is the taxpayers of the town, are going to spend more than $1 billion with a B dollars in the next 20 years. Or maybe it's 25 or 30 or whatever, but it's that kind of number of years. While it's expensive, first of all, we don't have any choice. The state is mandating that we make these improvements. And also, they'll benefit the entire town and all the people who live here. However, as currently apportioned, the cost to individual taxpayers will vary enormously depending on whether they happen to get a sewer that they're required to connect to, or they have to install an IA septic system, or they don't have to do anything. Last December, both the Board of Health and the Water Quality Management Committee, as you mentioned, wrote to the Select Board encouraging you to form a committee to identify fair ways to distribute the cost and, if possible, ease the financial burden. And I just really want to encourage you to do so, and to do so now. And I think there are several reasons why it needs to happen, or should happen soon. First of all, it's going to be a difficult task. There is no out there fair system that everybody's going to agree on. And there never will be, and that's why people kind of been discussing how to pay for capital expenditures as a group since, I'm of Greek ancestry, since at least 3,000 years that I know of. The large variations of the financial burden amongst different property owners, if that is seen as an issue, is likely to reduce support for the entire project, even though if the watershed plans aren't implemented, then everyone will have to do an IA system. Nonetheless, people tend not to vote for anything that's going to cost money. Knowing the financing plans for all of this concurrently with the development of the watershed plans will help the town develop its long-term capital budget. And people knowing that, I think, will help. Also, the Board of Health on a regular basis now is already making decisions that are related to this kind of thing, and how those decisions get made can have a big impact on individual taxpayers and what they have to do or not do at their homes. And lastly, the more property owners that know what group they're going to be in, that is sewer, septic, nothing, the harder it's going to be for people to fairly come to an agreement on a plan. This is a long-term thing that we know about humans. It's not that humans are bad, it's that humans are humans, and financial incentives have conscious and unconscious strong influences on the decisions we make. So it's always a better idea, if you can, say lots of political philosophers, to make decisions about how systems are going to be created of the interactions of people before those people know what role they're going to play. So you don't know if you're going to be a king or a pauper or somewhere in between. So I really hope you'll develop a committee and do it really soon. I think it's extremely important. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think you pretty much said it all. It comes down to equity. Somebody who has to put in a $30,000, $40,000 IA system will get the benefit of the sewer only when they sort of go to an area restaurant that uses it, and might take the dump there and they'll get a benefit. But when he goes home, right now, as it stands, he's going to hope that thing in his backyard doesn't break down, and the DEP doesn't come and say, or the town have to come and say, well, you're going to have to do something about it. And that person would rightly feel, I'm sort of getting doubled here. I'm paying in part for the sewer, and now I have something in my backyard. Now, some of the costs are a little bit unknown because we don't know if a town chooses to use IA systems, which Falmouth undoubtedly will have to do, quite a few. We heard a number there. I usually say it's at least north of 3,000. We don't know what the monitoring scheme will be like, and that's going to be a cost, how we'll do that. So I think the suggestion to the board, the request to the board, is to form a committee of people who know what they're doing with the finance piece of it. We don't. The health piece of it, we sort of do, and trying to figure out how we equitably spread the cost of nitrogen mitigation across the watershed equally, or at least in some sort of parity with somebody who's hooked up to the sewer. That's all.
And then another piece of this is the fact that this is a mandate from the state, and while there are certain types of funding already available from the state, it's clearly insufficient, and there should be, I think, from the town, a conversation with our state representation and to attempt to address some of these essentially unfunded mandates.
Anyone else?
The only thing I would add is, I think George, his thoughts were really carefully constructed and valuable. It is going to be a very inequitable way. If we leave it to everyone has to take care of their own backyard, it'll be fairly inequitable. It's easy to believe that some of the largest houses that face the water will carry big burdens. That's not the way it will work out. And I think the leadership, at the point this starts to really impact people, the impacts will be significant, very significant for some people who may have to make very hard choices about, can I stay here in Falmouth? Can I stay on the Cape? And I think we as leadership want to know that we did everything that we could to make this as fair as possible.
So just so I understand, when you're talking about this, I assume you're talking about some kind of monetary relief to individual property owners based on some consideration? I mean, is that essentially what we're talking about at the end of the day?
Well, yes, relief, but we have to remember that the relief's got to come from someplace. So this is going to be, so what we're suggesting is that the cost, or at least I'm suggesting, but I think we all agree, for the whole thing, the outflow pipe, the new sewers, be more distributed across everyone in town. So whether you get sewer, you do nothing, or you have an IA system, the costs are not going to be equal because it's too complicated to even try to do, but at least fairly distributed. Now, what fair is hard to say. So there's going to be all kinds of considerations. A lot of things will depend on your lot. They run into a rock, or all kinds of things, whether you're doing a septic system or connecting the sewer. So we couldn't possibly make it equal for everybody, but at least make some attempt to distribute it more fairly. And so yes, it's relief, but it's relief that's coming from us cumulatively. So it's everybody having similar skin in the game.
Anyone on the select board have any thoughts? Mr. Brown?
So I've attended a lot of the Water Quality Management Committee meetings, and there was some talk during those meetings that maybe the town should take a more of a leadership role in perhaps identifying the best available IA technology, innovative alternative septics, and maybe purchase those units and deliver them to the owners. Then another idea would be to have a program like MASSTC is considering developing, having a monitoring program so that takes the burden off the owner, and it makes it more efficiently and effectively managed. So I personally would like to support both of those. Another way that you could tackle it would be to just turn to the 70-30 split that we do with sewer properties. That's been our standard. We have to decide each time what the equitable amount is, but it seems like each time we do decide that it's the 70-30 split. And we could do that also and leave the owners to choose their own technologies. So that's another way we could go. So those are my first thoughts.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Richardson?
The only thing I'll add is I agree with Mr. Goldstone that I do think the state needs to be more bought into this. This is a climate initiative ultimately coming Beacon Hill, which is totally justified, and we absolutely do need to improve our waterways transition, but this is very expensive, and as a lot of towns across the Commonwealth are facing tight fiscal budgets, and upcoming revenues are not unlimited in their growth. So I think we should go to our state partners on this one.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree that we probably should have a discussion with our state delegation, and I'm going to ask Mr. Renshaw to maybe put that on his list of things to try and set up for us. You know, as these big issues keep cropping up, I'm going to ask, you know, Mr. Johnson-Staub, do we know what other towns may be doing, or any other towns have we heard that are looking into this, you know, equitable fairness issue that the Board of Health is raising, and how they might be dealing with it or thinking about it at this point?
Yeah, I won't say that I have comprehensive information on what other communities are doing. I have been at some of the Clean Water, Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund meetings where occasionally the other towns give an overview of what they're doing. We haven't really focused too much on the financial end. It has been more, what are the projects that they're doing, what is the timing, and how does that impact the Cape Fund? What I can say anecdotally is that there's definitely a mix, and you know, we should probably look to some of the bigger towns like Barnstable that has a challenge of our magnitude. Some of the Cape towns, you know, Brewster is going to have maybe some IAs, and that, you know, the magnitude of their projects are so much smaller, it's not all that helpful.
This would certainly seem to be an issue that would benefit from some kind of regional approach to the problem, at least with respect to the towns on the Upper Cape, as a, you know, as a first thought, to maybe put something together and with them and start that discussion with them as well. But certainly we hear, you know, your thoughts, your concerns. We appreciate you bringing it to us. How do the members of the board feel about setting up some kind of advisory committee? Mr. Reed?
I would be in favor of setting it up. Maybe it's not a committee, maybe it's a working group so that it has a short time frame. It's project-based. I guess I have a question for the Health Commission before we move on. Of the three options that Mr. Brown outlined, did you have any thoughts heading into this beyond just the overwhelming cost concern? Did you have anything not written in the paper or in the letter that you would suggest us considering?
I think from my perspective, we've bandied around a few ideas, but I think we really need, particularly people with a financial background, as George Hoyfelder noted, to tackle the problem more in depth than we've been able to so far. But I do, right now, I like Mr. Brown's third comment there. Essentially, you know, a 70-30 split, treating the IA systems collectively as another wastewater treatment plant that's distributed, so that there's less of a difference between those sewered and those not sewered.
Thank you for that. And aside from the financial background, what other considerations for the membership of this group that we ought to be considering? I'm guessing someone with state level knowledge of town financial. Who else?
Certainly nitrogen management.
Okay.
I think the Water Quality Committee, somebody from the town in finance, one of you probably. I think one of us regards the state, as we say in critical care medicine and scuba diving, I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for them. And I think if you wait for the state to act before the town acts, we'll be way too far down the road on this.
Mr. Chair?
Understood. Yeah, Mr. Richardson,
The only reason,
representative of the state here.
yeah. The only reason I do think it is a good time for it, and you are right, we cannot wait. Beacon Hill is very slow working there. The government is planning to take up an environmental bond bill this session in the coming months. And I think that this is something that they have They announced a lot of grants the other day. Falmouth, actually, we were on the lower end, which surprised me. But this is something they're paying attention to. As you mentioned, this is a mandate from them. And I think that there will be opportunities if we get in early enough to hopefully see some funding to this. Because this is a very similar issue for Mashpee, for Barnstable. And I would hope that the governor and her team would be focusing on this.
Okay, thank you. One more, and then I want to move on to these other items that you've asked.
Just to be clear, I don't mean we shouldn't go to the
Right.
state, just that we shouldn't wait.
Yeah, don't hold our breath, as you said. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, one last question for town management. Is this a starter or a non-starter question from the perspective of town management?
With regards to establishing this committee and having the discussion and
That one, and then the financial concerns. Are we able to, I guess if we do the 70-30 split, that money comes from the state, yeah?
No. So yes, so on the financial side, yes, I'm not going to say it's a non-starter, but it's a concern. The money has to come from somewhere, and I don't suspect immediately it's going to come from the state in the amount that's going to be impactful. So that very much needs to be part of the discussion.
Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Brown.
I just would like to throw in one comment that I'm not sure I would agree on the working group format, because it's going to be a very big issue and it's impactful financially. I think we need to have a standing committee that takes minutes and public posted meetings, so
Okay,
that would be my take.
we'll have to, have some discussions about the best way to set it up and reasons for or against one way or the other. So you've asked us, I think, to discuss short-term rental regulation bylaw, or that's something you wanted to discuss. Is that true? Because in all honesty, been pretty silent with respect to the short-term rental law up to this point. As you know, the committee has been very active. We appreciate Mr. McGann's involvement with the short-term rental committee, advisory committee, and Mr. Brown's chairmanship of it. But you did mention it, so I thought we would chat a little bit about it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, George.
In short, when we were asked to appoint a representative from the Board of Health, I'll speak, I was for a motion not to do that, simply until the Board of Selectmen would commit to, in that whole plan, introduce the concept of a housing inspector at the same time, because we used to have a housing inspector, and to just take money from short-term rentals, just to say we're going to charge you $300, there's always a little implied warranty when you have a permit that you've done something for it. You've inspected the property according to Chapter 2 of the State Sanitary Code, you found it acceptable, and you've sort of passed it. I just wanted to throw it to the Board of Selectmen that it's the bane of every Board of Health, the housing problems we have when there are complaints. They tie up our inspector, they tie up a lot of hours doing inspections, and even a rip screen in the middle of August can mean you're going to write something, give the person an order to correct it. So I believe that in order to do it properly, the board would have to commit, and you could do that and incorporate it in your fee, but have an inspection before you sort of bless it or give it a permit. And without that, it's really meaningless. It's just collecting a fee for, you have a short-term rental, give us $300. But without an inspection, I think the town opens it up to liability, because if something happens at that point, the property wasn't inspected, wasn't even looked at, then we'll be in the morass of hearings about whose responsibility it was. And I think the health agent probably gave you some testimony on how much time this board has taken up in housing complaints. So it was just sort of a notice that in doing anything with short-term rentals, to think about how you're going to operate it, whether it's going to be an inspectional service also, so that the people who are actually renting can know, okay, the Board of Health's been in here, it's at least approved, without just paying a fee.
Mr. Brown?
Well, we do anticipate there'll be some type of inspection, whether it's self-inspection or fire department inspection, just a general safety overall overview. Hasn't really been determined yet how the program would be implemented. Right now, we're just coming up with the bylaw to establish the parameters of what we're trying to do. It's create a safe space for renters and create an environment where neighbors are less impacted by the way that things are managed, because sometimes they're really run well and others not so well. So we want to have a kind of even the playing field on how they're all managed. I agree with you, though. It can be a time-consuming, and Mr. McGann has made that clear that we're creating a lot of work when we create this program.
And I agree with you, a sign off on a permit does have some implicit understanding or acknowledgement that, the housing is ready to go for short-term rental. Well, do we have the staff to do those types of inspections, Mr. McGann?
Right now, as the bylaw is written, it's much more of a registration. Handling registration is something you do on the computer with some documents that's sent to you and a fee and so forth. Actually having an inspector do whatever number of rental units we have on a rotating basis, no, we don't have. We have a health inspector who does interdisciplinary, so does food and general complaints. We don't have a dedicated person. Housing, when there's a tenant-landlord dispute, it takes an umpteen amount of time. These would probably might be quicker ones, but still would take time. Smoke detectors, egress, lock screens, and things of that nature. So yeah, there would have to be at least one, perhaps more, dedicated just to do inspections of each of the unit. The bylaw does say every other year, so that would obviously cut down the amount of time. If you would assume that you would inspect every other year as well. But yeah, that would be definitely a staff need. Registration's a much simpler process. But like what the board had said, you're not really doing the sort of the public health end by making sure that the units are inspected prior to giving a permit.
Anyway, Mr. Brown?
Just expand on it. There is language that says that the owner is certifying that it's safe and habitable and meets the housing code. So it puts a little more responsibility on the property owner.
So we will be discussing later this evening the short-term rental bylaw, which is one of the articles on the warrant. I will mention to the board that I'm sure you're familiar with the bylaw, that I myself have raised questions about your board's ability to issue rules and regulations under that bylaw. I have asked that we consider amending that provision so that any such rules and regulations that you might adopt, written policies, rules, or regulations, would be subject to the approval of the Selectboard. I feel that is an important responsibility that the board, as an elected board, has to the people in the town of Falmouth. So I just wanted you to know at least where I'm coming from with respect to that provision as far as implementing the bylaw and its requirements. That's your jurisdiction per state law. So just wanted to get that out there. Okay, so the next item was to discuss allocation of resources from the Embarkation Fund to address concerns regarding public health and environmental concerns in Woods Hole. You want to chat a little bit about that? Tell us what you're thinking there?
Sure. We've had the SMART task force of citizens concerned with air pollution and other disturbance from the traffic associated with the ferries and with the ferries themselves. And in general, I think the board concurs that there is a health issue with the substantial amount of traffic. Most of the traffic required to can sustain a population of in the range of 100,000 visitors to Martha's Vineyard on a given day in the summertime has to pass through Falmouth. So it's really substantial. And there was a report commissioned by the state several years ago called the Cass Report that suggested that we should expect in the range of about a 2% per year increase in that traffic. So assuming that's meant as a compounding increase in the next 15 years, that would be about a 34% increase from where we are right now. So this is a big problem that Falmouth's going to have to deal with in one way or another, but it's obviously super challenging. Some of the solutions that have been suggested are to have a freight ferry that runs out of New Bedford. That may have its own equity issues. I'm not sure what the pathway of that freight through New Bedford would be, but it would reduce overall miles driven, probably, because a lot of that traffic does come from the south, so it wouldn't have to come all the way up over the bridge and down into Falmouth. So this is a big issue. We looked at some of the low-hanging fruit that we might be able to address, and we wrote a letter to the police chief asking if they would have an officer down at the ferry terminal to enforce particularly the idling law. And I believe that's happening now. I haven't heard an update recently, so that's a very good step. Because
I think we had pretty good success last summer with respect to the police presence down there. Mr. Renshaw?
And as part of this upcoming FY27 budget, we're actually proposing to add some additional funds to, he ran a little short, but it was highly successful.
That's
operation.
great.
And they did more than just, I mean, that was an important piece, but it was more than just the monitoring of the island.
Yeah. So in terms of low-hanging fruit, there's not a whole lot else unless we'd definitely be interested if the select board has any ideas on what to do about the issue.
Mr. Johnson-Staub, with respect to the embarkation fund, can you talk a little bit about that, or the amount that we have and how we go about, accessing those funds, or possibly accessing those funds?
Sure. I believe we're bringing in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000 per year, and much of that has historically been allocated toward public safety, primarily public safety, recognizing that a portion of the public safety work is associated with Woods Hole and the Falmouth Harbor area. There is an opportunity, if depending on where revenues go, if they stay where they are or they grow, there might be another $50,000 to $100,000 per year that could be allocated. So that's your potential spending opportunity.
I'd be interested in hearing, in the future from you with respect to some concrete ideas, that would touch upon the environmental and hazardous situations down there from your perspective as to maybe what we could spend some money, on trying to rectify those problems.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Richardson.
I just have two thoughts on this. I think the board should send a letter to the New Bedford delegation, including perhaps their city council and mayor. I think this is something, and Doug, I know you've worked closely on this with a number of different groups. I think it's something we need to be more collaborative on with our partners on the South Coast, because I think it would be mutually beneficial to get freight out of Woods Hole, but to also get it into New Bedford. I think there'd be a lot of economic opportunity there. That was the first point, and I forget the second, so that's all I got.
Well,
no, I remember.
What?
Do we have an update on meeting with Mr. Kreiska, the new director of the steamship?
I'm actually meeting with Alex this Thursday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly let's not forget that it's the steamship authority that's been blocking the New Bedford freight for years, so it's not something that's in our control, but I agree with you, certainly trying to to reach out to whomever we can to get that on the table again is an important thing for the people in Woods Hole. and the town of Falmouth completely. So now, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
I was just going to say, I know that the overall traffic is up probably 2%, but if you look at the freight, which is the heavier polluters, it's more like 6 or 7%, and that's continuously increasing for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is they're no longer, Mr. Pecker used to barge fuel over there in big barges, and he'd pump it into a big holding tank, and then he's discontinued that because it was time to rebuild the tank, and he said, I've got better things to do than rebuild this whole infrastructure. So now the fuel is being trucked. That's a big change. A lot of their waste sludge is being trucked off in trucks also. So there's a lot of reasons why the volume is increasing and the freight, and those trucks are less restricted to the standards that vehicles are restricted to.
Yes,
I might, Mr.
Dr.
Chair.
Goldstone.
So one of the significant health considerations that we have been questioned with, and we have talked to the DEP about, is actually air pollution directly coming from not only the truck traffic, which we've have started to address through the enforcement of the idling laws, but A, just the traffic, and B, the fact that the ferries themselves may in fact be close to violating pollution standards. The southeastern Massachusetts is part of an air pollution zone. It's challenging to actually determine whether or not any particular vehicle, including a ferry, is actually violating pollution standards, because they require expert assessment on a somewhat regular basis that is not inexpensive. It actually is literally trained eyeballs in some cases. And so it might be that the town investing some resources in that, in doing more than just the inexpensive air pollution monitoring, but an actual professional assessment, I believe it's called a Mark IV eyeball, to assess the potential for pollution directly coming from the steamship authority, not just from the trucks. Sort of an additional thing to think about in terms of truck traffic is the fact that with the upcoming reconstruction of the Sagamore Bridge, the traffic on the Bourne Bridge is going to be increased by some staggering amount, and the truckers themselves may wish to have relief in order to be able to make their ferries. So I think thinking ahead more than just a few years would probably benefit all of us, including the steamship.
Yes, Doctor.
I think this is an area where talking to the state, even if it takes a long, long time, is the way to go, because as I understand it, as you mentioned, most of the issues are tied up in the recalcitrance of the steamship authority to do anything. So they just bought new ferries and new engines for some of their ferries, and they're not nearly the cleanest diesels that you can buy. But they seem to completely ignore, as I'm a washershore, I believe is the expression, anything that gets said to the steamship authority is like talking to the wall. And I don't know who at the state regulates them, but that would seem to be something worth discussing.
Well, in the summer, we did have Mr. Davis here and his staff, and we were able to at least speak to them and get some discussion going, and we're hoping that that we'll be able to continue that collaboration with the Mr. Kriska. So I'm sure Mike will pursue those ideas when he has his meeting. So I guess the final item, and we've got about another 5 or 7 minutes here, is the flow neutral law. And I know you wanted to discuss that as well. We did have a recent variance request at either the last meeting or the meeting before from the property there on Dillingham that wants to increase the affordable housing units there and housing units and the dental office there right across from FCTV. So that's the only application that I remember within the past couple of years, but we expect some may be coming up soon. I know that La Cucina had submitted an application, but they hadn't submitted all the necessary paperwork. So what are you thinking on improvements to the process, how we should be looking at these waiver requests from your perspective?
Mr. Chair, if
Yes.
I could,
Yeah.
before we move on, I don't think we really came to any kind of consensus on the previous request. Is there going to be any action by the board tonight on that? Are we going to recommend some type of monitoring program or looking into it at least?
I think we'll look into it. I don't think
I know we're not ready to recommend something, but
Right.
should we have a consensus that?
I mean, I'd like to request that we write a letter to interested parties on this.
I mean, I certainly-
As a future agenda item request, if that helps move it along.
Yeah, I would just like to, say that I think we should do something about it. I know there was an attempt to do some monitoring, but locations were difficult to find. And I would say that a more appropriate location would be actually on Steamship Authority property. So see if we can hopefully move that somehow.
Okay. Mike, maybe you can bring that up to Mr. Priska? Yep, okay.
Thank you.
No, I didn't mention because I think there is consensus that we want to get that type of, program from the Steamship Authority. So, okay, thank you. Okay.
Right. I'll let George Hoyfelder speak more on the flow neutral bylaw.
Okay, I hate to be the rabble-rouser on two items on the thing, but flow neutral has always been a mystery to me. Flow neutral, the words imply a certain thing. And I've abstained from some votes that we've sent up to you because apparently the Board of Health has to make a judgment on whether a system could be placed at the properties requesting and could fit a Title V without significant variances. In the past years that I've been on the board, we've seen some come up where we've said absolutely not, could never fit that 2,300 gallons for that particular expansion that's being requested. It goes up to the board and we see it passed. And I go, that doesn't mean flow neutral to me, that means flow positive. So I guess I'd like to ask what the intent of the bylaw is. I saw this operate very effectively in Provincetown where they said flow neutral, because I would have to say, yep, you can fit it, or you can't fit it under Title V. If you couldn't fit it under Title V in that particular flow neutral, you weren't allowed to go forward. I think that the town is going to spend a lot of money per gallon, and houses are going to have to be hooked up. But the more we give away that's discretionary, that isn't neutral anymore, then that's less houses that get done, or the same number of houses get done, but somebody else pays for the flow that was sort of given away. I'm just a little confused on what flow neutral means, so that's why we brought it up as a thing. I think I would just ask the board, if it comes to the Board of Health, which it's supposed to for the flow neutral bylaw, merely for a thing, a rendering of whether it could fit a Title V system, I would ask the board to very, very carefully not give away flow if it couldn't be there to begin with under Title V. Now, that's using it as a growth limiter, but then again, I keep coming back to those words. What does flow neutral mean?
Would you have anything to say, Ms. Lowell?
Hello, hello. Hi. Whoa. Amy Lowell, the town's wastewater superintendent. The flow neutral bylaw, I think we could have a whole nother discussion about the flow neutral bylaw, and I'd actually welcome that another evening. There's not enough time to have a complete discussion tonight. The goal, the state requires the town to have a flow neutral bylaw in order to get 0% interest SRF loans. And I can't speak for the state, but a part of the reasoning, I believe, is that the town needs to have some control over flow so that its wastewater treatment and discharge capacity is not overwhelmed by growth within a planning area. So a major part of the intent is to give the town more control over redevelopment so we don't lose control of our capacity, treatment and discharge capacity. I know initially there was discussion before the flow neutral bylaw was passed, so many years ago, there was discussion about the idea that a flow neutral bylaw would, a goal might be to make it so that a sewer doesn't allow more wastewater flow than would be allowed by the current Title V regulations. So a property that's limited in its redevelopment right now because of septic regulations, once it gets sewered, should still have, depending on how you feel about it, some level of regulation. So I think the origin of our flow neutral bylaw, the basics of it is required by the state for a 0% interest loan, and the state wants the town to be managing wastewater growth. Wastewater growth. When the town passed the flow neutral bylaw, I believe that the town was focused on the new sewer service areas that were under discussion at the time, the Little Pond Sewer Service Area, and the majority of those parcels are single-family homes. And that's really what a lot of the discussion had been about. But this flow neutral bylaw applies to all existing and future sewer areas. So before the flow neutral bylaw existed, there was no such control or regulation of redevelopment on Main Street, for example. And that has been one of the challenges of the flow neutral bylaw, I think, is that it's on the one hand, sort of a lot of the thinking about it was related to redevelopment within a new sewer area. But the bylaw as written applies even to Main Street, Davis Straits, T-Ticket Highway, where many of those parcels couldn't have originally put a Title V septic system on the parcel to meet their needs, and certainly can't now. So I'll hush up for now, but that's an introduction to some of my thoughts on it. It could use improvement, and I have been wanting to make suggestions on that.
Okay, well, we'll certainly add it to future agenda items for the select board to, take a review of the flow neutral bylaws. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you very much for all you do for the town and your service to the town. So.
Are we not going to have any discussion on the flow neutral bylaw?
Well, I don't want to go too far along since we've got a long agenda and we've got to start our meeting at 6:30. But if you have something to say, please.
Well, just I definitely think we should update it because if you look at Main Street, there's a lot of space that I would think could be potential for redevelopment for apartments and housing. But if they come to us, they're never going to be able to show that they can fit this Title V. So I think we're missing out on some opportunities, especially along Main Street. And at some point, I think in those sewered areas, we're going to have to face that the flow neutral bylaw doesn't really work. And I mean, it's holding us up right now, I think. So sooner the better.
No, I agree, and that's why I think we need to put it on the agenda for future agenda items. So, yes,
Mr. Chair.
Chair Kroger.
Can I take a roll call vote to pause our meeting? Okay.
Sure.
Can I have a motion to pause our,
Motion to pause our meeting while we move to a different room.
we have a second. Okay, Mr. Goldstone?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we'll be reconvening in the Woodneck meeting room here in the center. Mr. Topulus?
Aye.
Ms. Roth? Mr. Hoyfelder and Mr. Kroger, aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Move to reconvene.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Would someone like to read the mission statement, please?
Sure. The mission of the Falmouth Board of Health is to protect and promote the health, safety, and well-being of residents and visitors of the town of Falmouth. Primary functions of the Board of Health to achieve our mission are to prevent and control disease, to enforce state and local regulations, to promulgate local health regulations, to identify and protect from environmental hazards, and to advocate for a healthy community.
Thanks, Amy. And is anyone recording besides the health agent and the recording secretary? Okay, and brief statement on rules of behavior. Public comments will be allowed at discretion of the chair as time allows, will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Before providing comments, please state your full name, and all comments must be delivered in a manner that respects others. And does anyone on the board or in the audience have any comments on items not on the agenda tonight? Okay, thank you. Our first item is 46 Fox Lane, IA septic system approval request.
Good evening, for the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors representing the applicant. Property is located at 486 Fox Lane, currently developed with an existing 3-bedroom home serviced by town water and 2 cesspools. The applicant's here tonight looking for your permission to install a new 6-bedroom Title V system and is adding the nitro system as part of the denitrification process to it. So that's what we're here for, looking for that approval. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to address them.
Thank you. And there are no variances otherwise?
There's no variances.
Okay.
Just the IA.
Okay, thanks. Anything from the board?
Are they adding bedrooms?
It's an increase from 3 to 6 bedrooms.
In the septic system.
In the septic system, how about
Correct.
in the house?
Right now, no.
So not increasing flow, they're just increasing capacity?
They're increasing the capacity.
Today.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, according to the new regulation that went into effect
New
November
construction.
15th, when he pulls a building permit to increase flow beyond the 3, they'll already have the D-night, therefore I would be able to sign on it. So I think he's just putting it in early based on what they might be doing later.
I see, okay. Beating the rush.
So,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm with Scott that's not in the zone 2 at all.
No.
I see it says it on the plan, but I just wanted to
It's not
confirm
a
for the
zone, Fox
record.
Lane is in West Falmouth, there's no zone 2, it's west of 28A.
It's downstream of Crocker Pond.
Yeah, but it's not in the state zone 2, it's not near a town well.
No.
It's a Scrivener's.
I don't have any issues.
I don't have any.
Okay. Motion to approve the use of an IA system for 46 Fox Lane.
Second, or do you want to
Do I need a finding?
second, or add the standard? set
Oh,
of
and it's with,
conditions?
yeah, with the standard set of conditions and a effluent limit of 10 milligrams per liter or less.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. Our next item is 85 Brick Kiln Rd, IA septic system approval request. Shared septic system with 40 units totaling 62 bedrooms, seeking to install an Amphidrome type technology. Continue from the previous meeting. Do we have someone here representing it?
Again, for the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers, Land Surveyors representing the applicant. Property is located at 85 Brick Kiln Road. This past year, 2005. The project went before the zoning board of appeals and received a comprehensive permit to construct 40 units, totaling 62 bedrooms. Part of that approval process was they needed to incorporate the denitrification system into the septic design. So we have incorporated the Amphidrome with the Amphidrome Plus into the design. And between the equalization tank and the fire pump chamber, the leaching field will be pressure dosed. The system is designed to meet 30-30-10. I have Amphidrome representatives with me this evening. If the board has any questions, we'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Anything from the board?
To look at what we had out there in the field, what's been reported by the people operating these things. I have Cape-wide 37 systems, 12 of which could meet that 10, and the other ones don't. So I guess my biggest question is, how can we expect it to meet 10?
Have all those 37 had the Amphidrome, the plus reactor with them as well?
The only one I know of is the one we have in Falmouth,
The
and that average, of course, using the accepted ones would not meet 10.
Okay.
Or has quite a record of not meeting 10. And these data are from 2018. I just went right through all the databases. Another one in Falmouth. I don't know the property because these are coded, but that also does not meet 10. It's had 8 samples since 2018. Perhaps you could tell me which one that is, but there's another one in Falmouth, Amphidrome.
Yeah, I believe so. But part of the, I think part of the issue is a lot of our initial plants, especially when they're below 10,000 gallons per day, had to meet 10, I think, historically. So we would just do a straight Amphidrome reactor, which is mainly set up for less than 19 with the Title V. With the addition of the plus, that helps us drive it down to less than 10. And most of our plants above Title V, especially out in the Cape, have the Amphidrome plus. We have plenty of data that shows that it meets less than 10 on those applications. It's been mainly a permit-driven thing, whether it has the plus or not. So with this one, we have the plus reactor, which is our additional denitrification system, where we add supplemental carbon to it to help drive down the remaining denitrification process to meet that permit.
Okay, what you're saying is there are not many out there that have the plus, or that we would have in the county's database?
Correct, yeah. So most of our ones that required pluses were greater than 10,000 gallons up to this point. Now that we're seeing more requirements for less than the standard Title V of 19, we've made adjustments with our process design. Oh, sorry, Mike Sparks with FR Mahoney, sorry.
Okay.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And so without the plus unit, you're saying that nitrification is sufficient, it's
Correct.
complete,
Correct.
but denitrification needs the added carbon.
Correct, yeah, or even just a little bit more residence time in that reactor to get that. So, but we always design them with supplemental carbon, and then we allow the operator to adjust the dosing.
How about the alkalinity?
Well, alkalinity for both the plus and the regular Amphidrome systems, we design a system with alkalinity addition because we tend to see that being deficient. So this system is including an alkalinity dosing system as well.
These are the ones we have from the county database. Are those the ones with blue shading? Have TKN higher than 10, which would indicate to me there's a nitrification problem with them. So I just wonder what your comment would be on that. Because we're concerned with, of course, alkalinity is first step for nitrification and then the denite. This is, as you know, from the construction, we are requiring a banner system, which Amphidrome, I don't believe, is on the best available nitrogen technology, is it?
Yeah, we actually have to submit our stuff by the end of February, I believe, and get a letter with the state. But yeah.
They're not on it yet.
Yeah. So we're going to split that. And actually, for the meet that technology, to meet the less than 10, we're going to have the Amphidrome Plus submitted, not just straight Amphidrome.
So was that the plan you submitted with the Amphidrome Plus?
Correct.
And there's an alkalinity feed to that, as there is in all of your systems? but in those particular ones with the blue on them, doesn't look like they're quite, I mean, that's 10 milligrams per liter DKN, or most of that hopefully is just ammonia, but doesn't appear that they're nitrifying when they get up that high. Your other ones look like when you're down around 10, of course, if you had 10 and you're at 10, you're not doing anything but a septic tank, but.
Right.
So, okay, I mean, I just trying to open the discussion before the board that we don't have them on a list. The data indicate that they definitely can reach 10. I don't know what assurances the board is going to require for, like, perhaps a monthly monitoring for a while to make sure they reach 10. How is the development going to occur? Do you know? Is it they're building a number of houses all at once?
We're going to build them as fast as we can rent them.
Yeah.
As soon as we get the permits, we're ready to start foundations, and we don't expect to stop till we're finished. 25 of them.
So they'll probably come online fairly quickly?
Yes.
All of them. How is the Amphidrome going to do as it ramps up to meet the flows that are going to come in, not all at once, but rather kind of slowly?
Traditionally, it does well with that. We have a lot of applications in like schools where we see a big up and down between the summer and then the weekends where it handles those adjustments well. It's a fixed film process, as you know.
Yeah.
So it does a pretty good job kind of maintaining that biological layer as needed with the system. So
Is FR Mahoney going to be the operator of the system?
we are not in operations, but we do work. Are you going to be one operating?
Most likely.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
could you identify yourself,
Yeah,
sir?
Winston Stedman from All Cape Environmental.
Okay.
And I have quite a few Amphidromes.
None that are
None in Falmouth.
ramped up to these numbers here.
No.
If I ran this, I wouldn't see a
Most of them are on
Winston
Nantucket
Stedman
that
at
we're
all
doing.
on those.
Most of them are on Nantucket that we're doing and off Cape.
These are out on Nantucket also.
Yes, Nantucket, we're getting some pretty good numbers. We're getting down below 5 on a few of them with no feed. And we have a couple of outlayers, and it's definitely abuse from the homeowners.
In what way do they abuse it? What actions are the homeowners taking to cause the problem?
One of them that we have is Housing Authority, and they're dumping large amounts of grease. They actually did a inspection, and they had one of the turkey basters in an upstairs kitchen that they were using as cooking with, and they were just dumping that grease right down into the system. It was killing it. We're doing better with it, but we're still struggling with it because they're dumping quite a bit of grease. But most of the other ones we do pretty good, and we have a very up and down usage over there. And they tend to do pretty good. I have a few bigger ones that we do alkalinity and carbon. I have one in Webster, we're right at 10 with it. It's a groundwater discharge, but we're nowhere near capacity with it, and I'm not using chemical, and we're below 10 on that. So operators can usually get them down pretty good.
I recall with the AutoCamp that
That's
there was a ramp-up period. I mean, there were other issues.
There was a lot of issues with that
There were a lot of issues
one.
with the install, and they didn't have the plus unit at first and that sort of thing, but as I recall, and I'm not totally sure, it's a little while back, I think there was an issue with some higher numbers first, and they were waiting for the system to become fully inoculated and functioning with a sufficient flow and that sort of thing to reach performance. Is that a feature? And if the housing development goes in gradually, will there be higher concentrations and lower flows at first?
We could feed it. If we had to, we could bring in, some to feed it if we need to.
Bacteria? What would you feed it with?
Oh, like sewage, bring in some sewage
Gotcha.
from one of the pumpers or something like that. Try not to,
Yeah.
but if we had to.
Yeah.
So one of the things that went on there, I think I read some, like I wasn't involved with AutoCamp initially, but I did get involved with the upgrade. But We have a startup mode with our system because we do not want it to go through backwashes for the first 2 months or so, because we want to be able to get the biological layers start growing on that. So after that point, we can start backwashing, and I don't think that was ever implemented initially at the campground. So that was one of the corrections too that had to be made. But.
So it's a shared system, who's gonna own it?
The owner of the property, the LLC that owns it, which is
So they're gonna be all rental,
all rentals.
and the owner is,
Dan McClone.
okay.
A single owner?
Pardon me?
There's one
Yes,
person is
it's
gonna own
it's
all
owned
of
by
them.
an LLC, and the manager of the LLC is Dan McClone.
So doesn't our own regulation limit us to banner systems or not?
Yeah, it does. Right, but they're submitting this to.
Yeah,
Bernard.
I can send the email later. We got one thing.
Do you know how long it'll take to get a response? I know.
Really asked? I can call. I got to call her tomorrow and ask, but some other questions. I'm gonna make sure I fill out the forms correctly, but I can ask that at the time.
But you think you have everything you need to get it approved? It's
Correct.
just a matter of getting eyes on it?
Yeah, correct. And submit all the. We have a lot of compiled data. We have that a lot of plans for the Amphidrome Plus that we're going to supply.
When is it you plan on breaking ground?
We're already putting the road in. As soon as we get permission, we're gonna, as soon as we get Scott to sign off on the building permits, we'll start foundations.
I've held, because of not getting approval for you, it's been, what, months? I'm the only one sitting on the permit application.
It's the water's in, the drainage is going in, the base road is in.
Yeah, you've made it through ZBA,
So,
they've made it through everybody, so it's
this is
just
kind of
sitting
like
with
our
us.
last.
Yep.
So how long do you think after we approve, assuming that we did, how long do you think it would take before occupation starts happening?
I'm gonna guess around the first week of May, if not middle of May, depending on the weather. This weather's slowing us down quite a bit, but if things improve, we
That's
should be.
break ground, not habitable. When's your first UNO?
We're gonna put the first foundation in next week,
Understood. When do you think your first use in occupancy, your first person?
May.
That's what he's saying.
Okay, so it'll be built and somebody will be in there by May?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought it was,
Now, 25 of the units are affordable, they're gonna have to go through a lottery, so that's gonna, the units will be built and waiting for those tenants to move in, but we have 10 market rate units we can put people in right away, and we got a waiting list, like 150 names right now.
well,
Right, so I mean, if we can't approve systems that aren't on the banner list, and Amphidrome's not yet on there, and we're looking at a couple of months, 3 months, something, and we have occupation, how do we work out the timing? Go ahead, Scott.
well, it's your regulation, so you could vary from your own regulation and then hold them to a standard that you still have the same standard. So you could do that in your vote. But it should include that in the vote that you're not following banner, but then still requiring the 10.
This wasn't advertised, it's a variance hearing.
Well, you're varying from your own code, so it's technically not a variance hearing.
Oh, it's a variance from your code,
Well, I didn't advertise it as a variance.
right?
It was an innovative alternative request.
Do we have to?
I don't think you do, but
Hey, you tell me. mean,
I don't know.
I'm not gonna touch the public meeting law because I don't touch that law.
it's not,
All I know is we've been slapped around for having something on the agenda that wasn't on the agenda before. And if it's not advertised as a variance hearing, and anybody, I don't know whether you have anybody who's objecting to this particular development or not, but they'd certainly have cause to say we did not advertise it as a variance.
well, I would disagree in the sense that there's no requirement with DEP at this point in time, which in Title V,
That's right, it's not a
to have an
Title V
IA to begin
variance,
with.
there's no doubt about that.
It's a variance from our bylaws,
Our
Not
local
bylaw,
regulation.
local regulation.
which you have in your local regulation, how you vary from. So it may say it in the local reg, I'm not sure.
Do you think you could have the paperwork in before our next meeting in 2 weeks?
For the state, yeah.
State's not going to be able to do it, though.
I understand that, but if we have to put it on the agenda for 2 weeks to go through the approval, and we can say at that time that it has been submitted for
The
approval.
paperwork's been submitted and shown to
Correct.
us, that's all.
Right.
Yes, that's a little bit.
Now, look, I don't want to be the only stick in the mud here, but I would see this as a variance, and I would see this as, if we voted on a variance at this point, it would be a violation of the open meeting law.
And there's a significant public interest, so we shouldn't do that.
Right, but if we put it on.
What assurances would we have? So say either it gets on the banner list provisional by the time you put it in or close to it, or it doesn't. Either way, what if there's a problem? What if it's not reaching 10 milligrams per liter?
What do you do if a banner doesn't reach it, and there's plenty that don't?
I don't think we
haven't seen a banner system that's gone in that hasn't met it yet,
we haven't
since
seen
our
that.
regulation,
There's quite a, there's a few that can, maybe not under the banner. but
Under
this-
our regulation, which
Right.
was recently passed,
Right.
any system that has been approved since then, we do not see anything less.
It will happen. It will happen. So
Well,
what
I love
happens
your
at that point?
prophecy, sir, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so what is, you're asking,
The
what,
procedure then would be
Sorry, go ahead, George.
the procedure would be, the owner is gonna be on the hook for it. We're gonna
Okay.
keep pounding until we get the 10.
Yeah,
Right.
the owner and the operator
right,
go through a whole series of steps, which may be different for the Amphidrome, to get it to work. So,
operators are the biggest problem in our industry, George. You know that.
I absolutely know.
We don't have enough skilled personnel on
That's why I
one.
asked if they were gonna operate or not. The manufacturer of the system usually operates it pretty well.
Yeah. We try to work closely, like if he was operating, I talk to Winston all the time, obviously on other plants, so we work closely with the operators when we can, when people ask us to, it's part of it. But
They're a good system. I've got quite a few of them. We've had some on restaurants that are just a nightmare to operate, and we're getting them down.
I agree, they're good process control, they have a lot of ways you can tweak it to make it work, but, it's just, it has not to this point gone to the state and gotten on the banner list. So, from a board standpoint, that's the list.
I move that we postpone is the wrong word. Continue this until we have a meeting with the variance requirements met for the public hearing law.
Motion to continue the meeting and advertise it the next time as a
Right.
variance
Yeah.
hearing from local regulation.
What he said.
Do we have a second?
Second, unless I was the
No,
first.
you made the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I just phrased it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Second.
okay. George.
Sorry.
So just for clarification, what I think we're concerned about the open meeting because we're asking, it's specifically a variance from, they are local regulations, but it is a variance because we call out specifically banner. I think realistically, we understand the system. We probably can be easily convinced that it's going to meet banner. So even if it's just a filing of the paperwork, I think I would be very comfortable just saying I know it's two more weeks, but
The only thing we're gonna need is the paperwork you submitted if you could.
Yep.
yeah.
Makes it easier.
Do we have any other issues with the system? Do we have any concerns with any conditions that we would be thinking about in terms of making sure it's operated
appropriately.
The only thing I would say is in the findings are going to be the fact introduced into the record that it is the Amphidrome Plus and that there's adequate feed for alkalinity and carbon.
In monitor.
Do we want, how,
Just so we know, because as I said, that list there, which it's claimed, and I believe it, not all those are Amphidrome Plus. There's quite a few of those. In fact, only 13 out of 37, I think, or 17 out of 37, I forget the number, can only meet 10. But with Amphidrome Plus, they say they can do it. We can trust that they will, submit the paperwork.
So the plus is specified,
Yeah,
it's shown
but it will be added in the record as far as our findings.
as a
Because
required
we're
component.
gonna be varying this thing, so we gotta make
Right.
sure we don't set a precedent.
Including the alkalinity and the carbon. I totally agree. Go ahead.
Can I ask that you allow Scott to at least sign off so we can get foundation permits and get started? It's gonna take I just don't wanna lose my site contractor. I don't want him to pull off the
Go ahead,
site.
Scott.
Is those foundation-only permits or those for the full boat?
Well, we applied for full boat, but we could just have him issue the foundation permit. We won't go any further than foundation until 2 weeks from now, which we wouldn't anyway. I mean, we'd be lucky to get the holes dug and
Well, you could put the
inspected.
foundation in at your own risk, I guess. It's just getting the building commissioner to
He has
split the
to
permit.
sign off. You have to sign off.
I don't think
and
he'll
release the permit.
do the inspections in order for them to.
Well, right now in permitize and the sign off, I've got a choice of signing on a single, it's signing on the entire structure. I don't have the
Yeah,
ability
no
to sign.
foundation permit separate.
There's no separate foundation permit for you to sign off on.
But it could be.
I guess the question is, I could sign your permits pending the selection of a technology. If you don't, the problem is once I've signed this and you don't get approval for this, how do we,
That would be a way to do it.
what's that?
Sign it with pending the selection of a technology.
Well, they'd never be able to get
acceptable.
occupancy.
Yeah, I can hold it up at the occupancy
Right,
level
yeah.
when the
And it
use of
won't get held up.
because I won't give you a
It'll be here in 2
COC
weeks.
on the
Yeah.
septic design.
Right.
So yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we just want to be careful. So, do
I mean, I never thought to write this
a
up as a
letter
variance.
requesting a variance
Yes.
for the files?
Yes.
Do abutters need to be notified? Yes.
Yeah, for local regulation. Do we need it for local regulation?
Not under, I was just reading the section on variances, not under the section for variances. Okay, wait, let's go to section 2. For the purposes of notifying property abutters required by an action of the Board of Health is provided by the blah, 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 blah. Abutters should include all owners falling within a 100-foot radius of any point in the property line. I would. It's not,
I just don't want
Yeah.
to come back and.
Yep,
Yeah,
well, you heard it. Right
Crossing
from the
Ts,
horse's
dotting
mouth.
Is.
yeah.
Notify him for
Good
this
idea.
meeting already?
no, because I called this an innovative, technically, again, an innovative alternative septic approval request is what we call it. But since you're asking for technology that doesn't fall within the new regulations, it's not on the banner list, technically, it's a variance, and I didn't write it as an agenda item as a variance, I wrote it as approval for an innovative alternative technology.
And we need the variance added to the plan.
Yeah, so what I would write is innovative alternative septic approval, variance approval request.
Do we have our next meeting?
Would be the 23rd.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that email, but I still haven't come through.
23rd?
And just got back.
23rd.
Yeah,
23rd.
23rd, okay.
yep. Would you guys please hold on to the plan a second?
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
it.
we got it, yeah.
It's a lot of paper.
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna need it revised?
No, all you have to do
show
is
us
give us.
that
Just do it in the cover.
Just get in the cover. Yeah, you don't need to print more out. Thank God.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, so
so all
we-
in favor of, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so we're all good then. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Need to vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is 9 Cricket Lane. Local grade approval request.
Wait, hold on.
No, I mean, if I can start with that one. We had a visitor to the perk test. We had a visitor to the perk test, witnessing the perk test with the health agent.
Yep.
Anybody want to raise their hand? It was at the perk test.
Why, just-
And Jed witnessed the worst soils in the town of Falmouth.
Oh, man.
That street should not exist. That street was filled in by whatever came out of Eel Pond a very, very long time ago.
Oh, gosh.
No, it was just down the road, so I called the cop for something,
Yeah, it
and
was.
then he's like, I'm just at this brick test. I'm like, I want to go, I want to witness a brick test with you.
And the soils didn't perk?
There's it's very hard to find native soils. It's just a very typical.
It's a fill and mixed in with clay, and oh god,
Spoils from Eel Pond, and it's awesome.
And that's a challenging area
I
anyway.
wonder what the foundations look like if you go down in the basement. I wonder how many cracks are in there.
The pilings driven into the mud.
Point of information on our, do we have clear rules about what, they asked what's the penalty of what happens if they don't meet it?
Yeah, you have
We're on the wrong part of the agenda. Why don't we talk about that during future
Okay,
business? Yeah. Is that all right?
I don't care. As long
We're
as we
moving
talk
on
about
to the
it
next item
Yeah,
already,
no,
so-
okay, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
fine.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself and describe the project, please?
Sure. Scott Michelli, representing the Schott Family Trust, which is the owner of this property. This is a local upgrade request for 9 Cricket Lane in Woods Hole. It's an existing 2-bedroom home on an 11,900 square foot lot. The lot's encumbered by wetlands on the south side. Coastal bank runs right through the property and covers most of the property. It's in flood zone AE13 and flood zone X. It's currently served by a primary cesspool and an overflow cesspool, and it's served by public water. So the proposal is to upgrade the system with no increase in flow. The new system would be kind of your standard Title V system, 1,500 gallon tank, D-box, and then a leach field that's 12 by 32, which are designed by bottom area only. All the components will be H20 because they're all approximate to the driveway access in the home. It's designed with over 5 feet of separation of groundwater. As Scott mentioned, we did a couple soil tests out there in October. They were closer to the wetland than where the system is because I pulled it as far away as possible. I did also put on the plan that there was a soil test done on the abutting property, which is a new home under construction. That test pit was done in 2024, so I used that as a comparison as well. And all the test pits were very similar, 150 inches of fill, pretty much. One of the test pits that I did at the rear of this property, we did get into natural material down about that 13 feet. I took a sample, sent it to have a sieve done, and it came back as alumi sand, but we still designed it with 5 feet of separation because your bylaw. So there's a couple things that I'm looking for relief from. One is in your bylaw, systems are supposed to be a minimum of 100 feet away. So this one's gonna be, the leach field's gonna be 75 feet away. And two setback relief from Title V, which is basically because the coastal bank runs right through the property, it's really the setback of the leach field's gonna be reduced from 50 to 0 to the coastal bank, and the septic tank's gonna be 25 to 0, because they're right on it. There's really no place feasible on that property to put the leach field where you're not into the coastal bank. So we tried to maximize the distance to the wetlands in the back. We got out 75 feet, which in your bylaw talks about just trying to maximize that distance over 75. And we start getting pinched by the lot line in the building, and then there's also drainage that comes down Cricket Lane and goes out to the wets, so we're close to, we're just beyond 25 feet from that too, so we're pinched on all these different setbacks. And this has already received conservation approval. went through the RDA process and it's been approved. So that's kind of the overview. Trying to do the best we can. So this is, our plan here is that we're gonna over-X down 13 feet. And that's why I designed it as just bottom area only, because that wider system, I don't know that I could keep it in the property and not undermine the home from that. So I kept the septic is bigger and longer, but it's not wider because of not having to do the 5-foot over dig. I don't want to undermine the house and I don't want to encroach on the abutted property, so.
Thank you. I'll just note this is the second time recently that we've seen a groundwater observation goes more than 2 feet. Which may suggest that we need to adjust our local regulation on minimum groundwater. Maybe the solution is to add a foot to the groundwater as observed. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I just wouldn't use this particular one as an example,
Yeah,
because the
this is weird.
fill, I think the fill being so dense was holding up rainwater.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, which we'd call perched water.
Yeah.
I think if you want to make
yeah.
that judgment of raising elevation 2, you want like real true groundwater, not perched.
This is not in an NSA at all. is
No.
it?
It's not nitrogen sensitive.
But even if it's perched, if it's sitting too close to the,
True, but
it's still a problem.
it's perched because
But-
it's clay.
Yeah, which is rare, but there was another observation like that recently. Anyone have any comments or questions?
We usually, am I missing the variances on the plan? Don't those
Might be.
They usually are listed and they are not, here it is, yes.
You got it?
To the right, just above the stamp, outlined in blue.
Oh, 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, I forgot to list the one from the local on that plan.
And this is in a flood zone. What, have you done the buoyancy calculations?
Good catch.
What was the question? What have you done?
Buoyancy calculations.
Good catch.
This will also need a deed restriction.
And yes, and it will need a deed restriction to 2 bedrooms. It is in Title 5, so.
Flows less than 330 will require the deed restriction.
Yep. Yeah, I initially went, oh gosh, do we need to, anyway.
Wait the tank?
Well, we need to wait, and probably need to wait the tank.
No,
Was that?
no.
No? You don't think so?
Just the buoyancy calc.
Just the count.
'Cause
I think the counts are
every-
gonna show that it won't flow, but you're
Yeah.
right, I should have put.
Yeah. I mean, I know that drain has been a problem. It was a problem for the abutting property. Are you certain of that location? Because when they, so the abutting 13 Cricket Lane, which is just to the,
Oh, the drain line.
just to the left on this, but it's to the east, really. That initially was not properly located and caused a problem in the original, in that design. They were back a couple of times, I think.
For 13.
Yeah.
Correct.
I just don't want you, it would probably be,
Jed, can you remind us what happened?
they just didn't, it was one of those things, it wasn't really on anything. It was not really on any plans, certainly wasn't properly located, and it was a surprise to find it, and it is a storm drain, basically, kinda, I think, sorta.
It is.
And Cricket Lane is floods with any heavy rain, so it's an important storm drain, unlike some of the other storm drains that float around here. It seems that there's a lens of clay there, so some of there's, which is a little weird, but it's what it is. So it's local conditions kind of thing, but, and so if that's properly annotated, you're all right. I just don't know if it's been flagged or if you located it.
So the catch basin and the drain manhole at the intersection, or the angle point, was located by survey.
Okay,
The rest of it was taken from the Merrill plan.
okay,
That I pulled from
Right.
Permatize
okay.
for the actual septic permit. So I put a note on the plan that said that's where I got the rest of that drain line, but I definitely located, because I did the survey myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly concerned about like, you know, like it's just in terms of the installation of it.
So where's the drain shown?
It goes right off the west,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
south property line.
Label D?
Yeah.
Label D, yeah.
Got it. And so Jed, the concern is that it
The concern,
would get caught in that drain, the effluent would get caught in that drain?
well, it was also installation, like, you know, if there's gonna be a strip out, and it's gonna be a big strip out, it would be problematic for all involved if somebody dropped something through that.
But it is a good question, if we're talking about this really dense fill, and now we've got backfill around the utility, that's gonna be a preferential pathway all day long, right? If we can't get water to FERC.
Well, all that strip out's being filled with sand, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
It's
overdig
good.
should help, yeah.
You said you're gonna excavate down to permeable material, right?
Yeah, I mean, based on the test bits, we're thinking it's gonna be a 13-foot strip out,
Man, that is
And-
gonna be a heck of an excavation.
and we're,
Hard to get rid of that.
you know, we're about 12 feet off of that drain line.
With the sidewall of the excavation.
Yeah,
And the fill was fairly compact stuff.
yeah.
Are you sheeting it, or are you going one-to-one and then backfilling?
Well, I think it'll hold up,
You think
or,
it's,
or if it doesn't, I don't think it's gonna just keep going and going. So I felt like I could stay within the property with it, that's why I did bottom area only, and
Yeah.
didn't do the 5-foot strip out, because I could have just done this with one chamber, 2-bedroom, 1 chamber, but with the 5-foot strip out, it makes it too wide. It gets me too close to the house, gets me too close to the property line for that strip out.
So you think effluent will flow downward through the fill that you're gonna put in and reach the permeable material and will not interact with that drain? Is that what you're?
Yeah, because this stuff was crap. I don't think you're gonna get stuff migrate
Right.
laterally.
right, if it's that
Right.
dense.
Yeah, it was.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God only knows where it came from.
Yellow Pond. I'm sure that's right.
We foundation.
Probably, with the age of this stuff, it's more like the MBL stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
And groundwater flow should be toward that wetland, so you're
Yeah.
cross-grading it, not down-grading it where that.
Yeah, and this is definitely a flood zone. There's really no question that this is likely to be regularly inundated, starting probably in about 20 years.
I think it's on stilts.
So,
So water was encountered at 2 and then consistently present? I mean, we're postulating it was perched there, but was it consistently present in the loamy sand and
It
medium
has to
sand?
be consistently present. It's too close to sea level to have an open space beneath that, you know?
I'm just thinking through this whole perk scenario, when we excavate it out, you're gonna have a bathtub that you're trying to discharge the effluent through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're picturing it as dry sand that the leachate is gonna move through, but it's not, it's gonna be a bathtub of water. Water's gonna sit there preferentially.
Well, he's gonna excavate down to permeable material, so it will then be effectively a direct connection to the aquifer between the leaching field and the Eel Pond, right? And it should perk faster than the soil around it. it might be that some runoff will go into that SAS, right? Because if the surface soil is non-permeable?
It's not, I mean, yeah, I think it's the surface soil there that's not very permeable, and I think it's the drains that handle it, because there are yards across the street that flood on a regular basis from rain. And it's just a low marshy spot.
Yeah.
You know, it's backyards that are always damp, sort of thing.
I mean, you're gonna slope on top of the system anyhow to shed water away from it anyhow. And it's really no different to build a sort of way down to the groundwater than any other system that you have a strip out near the beach or near a pond or anything else. It's gonna go down that nice pervious stuff till it hits the groundwater, and then it's probably gonna mound a little bit. Maybe you wouldn't be able to see.
2-bedroom?
But it's gonna move with the groundwater flow. So I don't think it's gonna like pile up.
I mean,
If that soil down below you says loamy sand, and you've got it at, you've got class 2 soils and you're loading it lower than normal, you're not loading at 0.74, you're loading at 0.66.
One quick thing too, just on, I was looking at the inverts, right? So my invert on my septic tank's at 9.25. Minus 4 feet 7 inches. My bottom of my tank is technically above the groundwater at 2, so probably why I wasn't thinking of the buoyancy calcs.
I saw the H20 there, I thought it's not going anywhere.
There's a lot of extra weight with that H20 tank. I'm not really concerned about it, so.
Okay.
so this is not just there's a local upgrade approval, but from Title V variance request.
Well, okay, local upgrade approval is for repairs and variances are for increases in flow in Title V.
Okay.
We use a term in our local regs, anything that doesn't meet our code is a variance.
Okay.
And Title V has a difference between local upgrade approval and variance in Title V. Title V, a local upgrade approval is a type of variance. It just happens to be one for a repair.
Happens to be what?
For a repair.
Right.
Existing conditions, no increase in flow. If he was asking for wetland setbacks for an increase in flow, that's what it would be a variance.
Right.
Then we took the term variance and just used it sort of unilaterally for anything that we varied from in our local reg.
Which we just talked about before. Well, it's a tough situation there, but I think you did the best you could there. I don't think I want to be standing near the hole when you dug it.
No one who's installing it, no, will be far away.
Not to mention the access down there is
Yeah,
horrendous.
Getting
With the
trucks
house
back
under
there.
construction right next to it, so there's contractors there, there's just no room for anything.
In the past, you've actually had to approve a tight tank in one situation. We couldn't
Yeah.
even get it to work.
I remember that one.
So you think you can do it while assuring that you're not gonna crush that drain?
I think so.
Keep the machines off the drain?
Yep,
Okay.
Just mark it.
yeah, we'll mark it out for prior to the work being done.
Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the variances, standard set of conditions, 9 Crooked Lane, Falmouth,
Two-bed with the
with a 2-bedroom restriction,
two-bedroom
which is called for in the code anyhow.
finding.
Finding that it's a very tight lot, there's a lot of fill that means a very deep excavation, so I believe the engineer has done the best they could with that lot.
Go ahead.
With the requirement that buoyancy calculations be added to the plans. Is there anything else that we missed?
Just the addition of the other variance.
Yeah.
Oh, and the addition of the other third variance to the plans.
And caution is taken to not load the the drain, Jason. So friendly amendments. Anything else? Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know the invert on the drain? Do you know how deep that, how low it's sitting?
I don't.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain because I have to honestly say I haven't understood a word in the whole.
That's fair.
I have no idea what a single thing is saying.
Okay, yeah, we got it. That's all right.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, village.
Septic is not
Have a good night. Thank you for your help.
Okay. Next item is operating system monitoring and performance and data from
I just want to keep this on as even just brief discussion. I sent out another sort of graph which showed all of the systems with more than, I think, 10 samples. Might be, yeah, more than 10 samples. And again, we have about half the systems in town that are not performing. But those ones on the far right of the graph with blue shades are the ones that we could focus on first and calling those in. Anybody who's got like over 40 or something, and just slowly start working them down. I mean, and I think the next time what I'll do is just look a little bit closer using these data to see if we have some operator issues. I did forward the letter of the operators, the
Yeah.
draft letter of the operators.
Yeah, I've sent it to Katie to send out. She might have done it this last week.
Okay.
I'll check.
Because I think it's a good first and soft step to just talk to them if we can. We can set up a meeting and say, you know, tell us what problems you're having because you're obviously having some. And by that time, it will have the operators separated out by the ones that are problematic or not.
Will we give them name tags that are different colors?
Yeah. We'll give you a blue shade, and you get a red shade, and a yellow shade. But it's obvious that there's one or two things going on. Either these things really are not working, a number of them, or there's some other explanation for it. And I was looking at like the data for the fast units, and I remember that my experience has been when they are not pumped properly if they're very heavily used, almost every year, but certainly every 2, that they fall off in performance right after that. And I've heard from operators saying, hey, I told them he had to pump it out, they don't pump it out, what do you want me to do? So I think if that's a common theme, then we just need that sort of blank letter to owners. Hey, you were told on this date that this happened, that you needed to pump. We don't see it in the records that you did pump, or please provide the records or appeal before the Board of Health. We just got to slowly get them. We're lucky we only have 350. There's like 3,000 out there.
Well, I agree, thinking along those lines, with the owners, could we come up with a letter we could send out initially saying, we've identified your system as a problematic system, and we are directing you and your operator to meet, discuss a remediation plan, implement that plan, and resample within a reasonable amount of time frame. I'm trying to avoid calling in 300 people, not 300, but whatever. Could we give them some to-dos, resample, and send us your data so that if they can fix the problem without our direct involvement?
Right.
Right.
That's why I thought we'd talk to the operators first, because
Right, so they're
if
ready
we
for
tell
it.
the owners first, the owners start yelling at the operator that doesn't know what was happening. To give first the owner or the operators, look, we're going to be looking closer at these data and the information, because Falmouth is destined to have at least 3,000, or as you say, maybe 8,000 of these things. So we need to sort of work toward compliance. And if we meet with them and they all say, hey, no, the owners are just terrible, you know, and that's the prevailing thought, and they offer enough evidence of that, then maybe it's, okay, now it's time to start. Your operator and your owner both get the letter that says, we have to work with you toward compliance.
It'd be helpful to give the operators a letter too,
Yeah.
explaining what we're doing, that they can then take to their recalcitrant owners
Yeah.
and say, hey, here's proof, the Board of Health is looking at this. The next step is
Yeah.
to bring you in. I would just like to get as much happening before
Right.
we have to directly call people into the board as possible.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, that letter is going out to the operators, correct? So that, did you see that letter?
I
To the operators?
I did, but I need to reread it with this thought in mind
Yeah.
specifically. You know, is it helpful for them to actually take that to their homeowner? Does it say what we want to say strongly enough so that they can use it as their backup to prompt
Yeah.
people to do things they need to be doing?
I'm sure some of them might take that, just a notice to some of them and say, look, they're starting to look at these stuff, and I've told you a number of times to do this, they're gonna be on your back.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't meant to have that effect.
Right.
So, you're right, after we meet with them, then would be the time to say, you know, we're gonna start pushing letters to the owners.
Yeah.
And to you, so if you receive this letter, it's because one of your systems is out of compliance, and it gives you a little, whatever, little introduction to your owner to say, hey, there's nothing we can do to dodge this, we just need to start.
I think what we should do before we meet with the operators is have a draft letter to the owners, ready to
okay.
go, so
I'll
that
work
we
on
can
a
say,
draft letter.
you know, address automatically pulled, because,
Yep.
you know, there's some of these are repeat offenders too, from repeated samples. They're terrible numbers. You know, your system has been identified
As never having worked.
yeah, you know, and whatever we should talk about what any, you know, what powers we have, what consequences there are to not meeting their operating conditions. I mean, in the extreme case, it's denial of occupancy,
Right.
which that's
I think
rather.
I think fines are what, you go right to you're gonna kick out of your house, they know, oh, this is never gonna happen, but fines have been, I mean, there are fines associated with Title V, and it's a violation of Title V when you're violating your approval.
Right.
Because your approval is approved through Title V. So I'll put together a couple of draft letters for different situations for the owners. You know, ones that say you're not meeting the standard, or ones that say your samples are tending toward not total
Right.
non-compliance, and one that says the world's about to end and you really need to get this squared away.
And I think.
Just have to hold it.
I mean, if there's you know, like a short list of things to do, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
make it more, you know,
Helpful
more,
too.
make it helpful, so that it's not just you're not doing a good job, but you're not doing a good job, and here is how you could do a better job.
It's a helpful sandwich. Scary,
Yeah.
help
Right.
in the middle, a little scary at the end.
So things like, make sure you've been pumping it in accordance with the manufacturer, which, you know, maybe once every 2 years instead of the 6 years you were used to, things like that.
And also, you know, talk with your service provider, and they may have additional guidance, but site-specific guidance, for example. I mean, I'm trying to make it as, you know, to minimize our intervention and to use the existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We can't address all three of them.
Yeah?
Go ahead, George.
So what, earlier this evening, somebody asked, so what are the requirements or penalties if we don't meet the standard of 10 milligrams per liter? And I expected one of you to say, oh, it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I didn't want to scare him, but it's $250 a day for a fine if you not complying with your permit.
So so for example, if you had 40 units all going into one system, is it $250 a day?
No, it's the owner you're gonna go after, and that'll be decided at a hearing, how grievous is it? Are they shown, because we have in the regulation an allowance, if your system isn't meeting the code, then there are things that you can do to show that it's really meeting it, it's just not getting 19, or it's just not getting 10.
Yeah.
So once they exhaust all of those, then it comes, well, what are we going to do about it? Because they're doing everything they can. The technology has a problem. We're going to notify probably the company that sold it to them and say, look, this system has never met code, never met your permit on this thing, just so you know this, because that allows us to start saying, there's no way another one of those systems gets put into the town.
I'm just wondering of somebody's applied for a BART approval.
Banner, yeah,
banner
okay.
approval. They don't get it. We've already approved it. And they don't meet it.
There is just this one case where that is the
Yeah.
case, and we don't want to set a precedent.
Right.
That's why we want to treat it as a variance.
Scott, can you send me an email that tells me where to see this in our regulations? What these, how this flow sheet works of.
The regulation.
Yeah.
Which requires for new construction of banner.
Yeah. Oh, no, that I know. No, I know.
I mean, well,
What
Oh, I
happens if
see.
somebody doesn't meet?
I mean,
Yes.
on top of a fine, a daily fine, being called into the Board of Health on TV every 2 weeks would probably also be something that,
Pillory.
was that?
A pillory.
Yes, being publicly excoriated.
Nice use of pillar.
Yeah, I mean, so we do have the example of AutoCam.
Yeah.
They were not meeting the code, and we required them to cease producing
Well, I'm not
and it
saying-
cost them a lot of money.
Yeah, they had to go
And so
very
they have
quick.
very strong incentive. A
Yeah.
big business with a significant amount of effluent has really strong incentive to get it right as soon as they can. So
Yeah.
I don't think we have to worry about that much.
No,
And
I'm
I don't
not.
wanna, no, I'm just trying to answer your question.
Yeah.
But I think as well, with homeowners, I hope we never get there. I hope we never get to finding a homeowner about
I
a
agree.
septic system. That is just not what we should be doing here, because
We want to fix
we're
it.
in this together,
Yeah.
right, as a town. And furthermore, what we're talking about here are the legacy systems, many of which are not very good technologies relative to today's standards. And so we want to get them to the 19 milligrams per liter they were required to do.
Or
We
the best
can.
that they can.
Or the best we can, yeah.
Yeah.
And-
No,
and-
I
yeah.
wasn't asking to see it because I didn't think it was adequate.
Yeah.
I was asking to see it to help my ignorance because
Yeah.
you don't know and I
I mean,
have no idea.
Here's a question. In a really extreme case, where the technology is really not working, and they're required to put something in for environmental reasons by their permit, various permits that they got, would we require them to replace the system with the technology that worked?
It's in your regulation.
Yeah.
so that is,
It's a main, not a shell.
right. That is kind of the ultimate in terms of sticks.
And I think the only place that we would probably do that, because it is drinking water concern, is in zone 2s. I mean, in the other, because right now, from this day forward, we're going forward saying Banner is the standard. And some of those were put in, and I think you just make them do the best you can, because there was no real standard that they had to meet. There was no, okay, the TMDL says everybody has to make at least this. But in the zone 2s, that was, from day one, the standard.
The standard, okay.
You know, you have to meet 19. If
So-
you can't meet 19, you better meet the spirit of 19 by showing that you
Doing the best.
flush once
Right.
every week, and that's pretty strong stuff.
So we have different, you know, as we go through this, we should make notations or have it maybe a different draft letter for those in the zone 2s, because that is a different level of seriousness, if you wish.
Yeah, we should pay attention to them first.
And I've asked DEP about that, and they say, well, that's water supply. Because I've asked her, what are the teeth, what's the teeth that really allows us to enforce that in the zone 2? And they said, well, that's water supply. Well, are you tracking, is water supply tracking their performance? The answer was, no, they're not tracking their performance, but it's water supply.
Well, wait, if it's a septic system, it sucks.
Yes, but as far as DEP is concerned, and enforcement, because I've asked them, in zone 2s, are you tracking, these were approved for zone 2s, are you guys tracking this? Because of all the ones they would track, the ones that we might require in the local regulations, no big deal to them, but I would think that they would track the ones that have been approved for water supply, and they're not. So it's really up to the locals to do that. You know, $6.60 an acre. For, you know, how many systems went in for $6.60 an acre? They wanted 3 bedrooms on that half-acre lot. We have quite a few of those.
Have you, in your data analysis so far, have you isolated the zone 2s to see how we're doing?
No, I have not. I know that the database of the county has it, but I'm not sure how accurate they are. Because that would have been said during a hearing.
Right.
During a Board of Health hearing, and if it wasn't mentioned, then we knew it, but it wasn't a zone 2, wasn't referenced in there. It might not have gotten into their database as a zone 2.
So it could just be a merge, this is GIS, just a GIS merge.
Could ask town GIS to do that.
How many systems we have in zone 2s?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many IAs and, well, I mean, you could look at the specific ones that are not meeting.
We can do it in a half hour.
Yeah, it's pretty, that's a straightforward.
Yeah, that'd be very useful.
Since I pretty much have the streets that are in zone 2s memorized.
George.
So wait, is that an action item? Are we gonna do that?
Yes, I'm going to do three letters of different ilk, draft letters to homeowners. And they're going to have the sandwich in them.
But what about the mapping?
Oh, the mapping, I don't know.
Well, if you just send me a list of all the 350 of them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can just highlight the ones that are on streets that are in zone 2s. We don't have a lot of zone 2s, so.
Yeah.
Not that big a deal.
Yeah, okay.
And are the zone 2s because of private wells or
Public
long
supply
pond?
well.
Be both. It's a little trickier with town wells, but with private wells, but I pretty much know where the private wells are by street.
Yeah. Private wells, if you have a septic system and a well on the same lot, it's considered a nitrogen-sensitive area for the code. Even before these marine NSAs came in.
And then in addition to that, the public water supply wells and then Long Pond, obviously.
Yeah.
Question. You're looking at sampling data. Do we have systems out there that they're not being sampled regularly, hence they're not showing up in your analysis?
Yeah, so if I may.
Yep.
So if I may, I think it was before your time, Amy, there was the county would send a shot across the bow to the homeowner that doesn't have an operation and maintenance contract.
Okay.
And then if they don't comply after 2 letters, generally then we get involved and I'll send the letter.
Okay.
And if that all strikes out, they come here. They haven't had to do that in a while. But that's somebody without an operation and maintenance contract.
Okay.
Someone looking to whether the operator's doing their job, that would really not be,
Sampling. I'll see whether that can be built
that
in.
might be the county.
Because technically, in our regulation, it's quarterly for the first 2 years. And we have, most of the people came before us who want reduction, they show those 8 samples. But what if they didn't? You're right, that's a good one to look at. But for that, you'd have to look at the years back when we required sampling 4 times a year. We didn't always do that.
No.
We just let it go in accordance with the approval letter at the time.
But there still would have been minimum sampling,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
not quarterly, but at least annual or
Sometime-
something that they might not be.
Yes.
So sometimes sometimes board decisions in the past would say per manufacturer, per their approval letter.
Right, per their approval letter. And they are really bound to do what was in their approval letter at the time. And the approval letters change over time.
But-
Like now, which is really kind of interesting, all the general use approved nitrogen systems have to sample quarterly for the first year. I mean, they never did that. So all the new letters going out for folks, that's what it says.
So if the testing's not being done correctly, that's on the county.
Yeah.
Because the county's getting paid
Right.
by the town to track this for us.
To monitor.
Wait
Yeah.
a
Well, this is-
minute.
So I blame the county for any lack of data.
County is not getting paid by the town.
I
And
meant by the county.
homeowners, the residents. But, yeah, that should be, I mean, this kind of goes back to our questions to the county database folks.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do with this database? And it seems like it should be.
Zone 2s and tracking whether the samples are, I believe the
Right.
samples in accordance with the letter that they get from the town, they're being sampled in that and they are flagged if they're not.
Okay, so you think they are being flagged if they're not sampled, not just if
More,
they're
the
missing
more
a
recent
contract?
ones, I would say the past
Okay.
maybe 3 or 4 years. Before that, the letters, we never required it in the letter, the finding or whatever we did to the person when they came in for the approval. Because we didn't always just approve IA system suites. It was just, they came before us, but it wasn't like, if you have no variances, you can just, we wouldn't see them. But there came a time when that entered into our policy that they would come before us for all the IAs, so we would know where they are.
How old are the oldest?
Oh gosh, they go back to 99.
Wow.
There's some RSFs in here, yeah.
Yeah, Omni, some old
It's
ones.
terrible, they're not working at all.
He's not in business anymore. And the research sand filters are.
You see the different media.
So when do we pursue this meeting with operators? Which one?
Well, if I may, the letters say you to get back to us with dates. I
With
think we're
dates
okay.
possible.
So how I was planning on doing that, if I hear crickets, because of Cricket Lane, made me think of it.
Yeah.
If I hear crickets, then I perhaps will just set a time.
Okay.
It'll be at a future meeting and just set a time.
And provide a remote option.
Right.
Sure.
I think that.
If we can, yeah.
I think we need to firm that up, that we can do that, because a lot of them, they won't.
Well, we should do a remote
They're
only.
not gonna show up here at night after, doing systems all day and the other things they do.
Yeah. And some of them are off Cape.
Yeah, and they're gonna be looking at the clock and saying, I'm gonna do this for what?
Yeah.
Is there any consideration on these in systems that are serving commercial versus residential?
I filtered all the stuff that I sent out as single-family residential.
Okay, because in here, which is the big,
Yeah, there's plenty of
there's some commercial that are really,
and there's Yeah, commercial
Not working
systems
well.
are not working.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And I would suggest that there's certain commercials that you're not gonna work because they don't use a whole lot of water, so their concentrations are gonna be really high.
Okay.
They have offices in them or something like
Right.
that, so it's not like they're getting a whole lot of use, but the concentration would be high, so, people are taking whizzes, but,
but if there's a hotel, for example, that
Right.
does not appear to be functioning,
right.
That would be worth pursuing.
that's, would be worth pursuing.
Yeah, bigger impact.
Big hotels tend to be on the groundwater discharge permit, like the one
Well,
in Falmouth.
311 Gifford,
311
That's-
Gifford, what's 311 Gifford?
that's the,
Atria?
was that?
Atria?
Coney?
No, it's Coonamessett.
Oh, yeah. That's on that's one of Mike's systems, right?
No, the,
It's a modular fast, according to this. Though, so 311 to Gifford is broken down. So Mike McGrath does the memory care section, the older
Yeah.
part of it.
that's the Atria, right?
The Atria other section is the fast. So the
Right.
fast unit 311 is the one that is the newer part that is not a memory care part. That's the newer.
Okay, so that's not the Coonamessett then?
Correct. That would-
Okay,
I think
because
that
it
would be-
mapped,
I think it would be
mapped
the
to
Atria.
the,
I think it would be, I could be, no,
I looked at I didn't look at GIS, but,
maybe I'm wrong.
Is it groundwater discharge?
I don't know, it's, I don't know
I
the
would think the
fluid.
memory care would be.
I would think so too. That's gotta be
Yeah,
over
but-
10,000.
I guess
No,
that'd be
311 is, this is Google mapping it behind Jack's Restaurant. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
so, anyway, so that was my question, is,
I think we've got to
Commercial
go
is
after
gonna be-
all of them, but
right.
commercial is a horse of a different
Right.
color. We'll have to go after them. Even this system is going to be a big residential system. We don't have any big residential
this is the-
systems other than condominiums.
yeah, I wasn't aware that this was gonna be a rental-only, single
Yeah.
owner, single operator. Well, that, in some sense, that's really simplifies,
It does.
it reduces my concern in terms of having, the resources for an operator, close operator attention to this.
We're off the agenda.
Sorry.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right,
Move on.
anything else on that?
Thanks, George, for all that.
Yeah,
The work
thank
you're
you.
doing.
Okay. Moving on to review and approve minutes, January 27th.
General note, I would get, just do a search and replace and do a consistent Title V, capital T title, and then the number 5.
Yeah.
And on the first page, 54 Sam Turner Road, the paragraph, Mr. Hoyfelder, clarified terminology. I think that is supposed to say Title V that are not necessarily in alignment with this system. Sorry, page 1, the 54 Sam Turner Road item.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's
paragraph
right.
beginning with Mr. Hoyfelder.
So is this correct that?
Oh,
George?
Not necessarily in
Not
alignment.
necessarily.
Yeah, right? Isn't that
Yes.
what the point of this was? That
Don't you mean,
Is it correct that both George Hoyfelder and Scott agreed to do some follow-up action
Yes.
items on that one?
Right, did those
Okay.
happen?
I did. I followed up. I didn't get any reply from Southeast Region at all. I called OSA twice, and have not had a return call yet. I'm gonna keep bugging them because there's two things I'm gonna ask about. One is this, and the other is with the IA systems. We're getting a lot of, ADUs, which require certain things for 2 compartment septic tanks and things like that. Well, if they use an IA system, which a lot of them will, how does that two-compartment tank thing do for something like a fast? I mean, because two could go into a fast, but it's not a two-compartment septic tank. So does it just go with the technology? I want something in writing from them on that. But also this one, which is the urine tank, which I have not heard from yet.
Okay.
I prepared, by the way, a letter, an approval from the board and what findings they might have should they ever get that approval with a set of findings. Because it's either going to be treated as a variance from Title V or a variance from the tight tank regulations in Title V. So I'll share that if I ever hear from DEP, and then we can move forward with that approval and give it an official set of findings and requirements and conditions, is what I meant to say.
Okay. And so they're just going to wait on that until we hear something from the DEP?
Yep. I mentioned to him, Scott, I mentioned to Judge Brown to pipe through that tank completely so that there's nothing going into it for storage until we hear from DEP.
Okay. Scott, what were you going to do there?
I don't recall.
I think you were going to do the same thing, see if you could rouse them.
Yeah, I think that's what the minutes say, but I have to go back to my notes. I don't have my notes.
Says you'll ascertain code compliance. So, it's a good reminder. Okay.
Question, I'd let it go at the time, so these minutes are probably are accurate, but 554, 173 Metoxet Road, Mike Borselli referred to an earlier version of our regulations that a raise and reconstruct is new construction. That's not, it's an increase in flow, right? Isn't our,
Raise and rebuilds are included in your D-night requirement, regardless of whether you're adding bedrooms.
okay, so fine. All right, so I couldn't remember what I wrote. All right, never mind.
Okay, so
That's art to it, it's fine.
In the motion for that item, I was just trying to figure it out. Title V variance is required, and that new construction, I think it's new construction will apply, comma, with the standard set of conditions. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with, you're adding a comment
A comma
and a
and then a
with.
with,
Okay.
yeah.
The discussion, it's the bottom of page 5, that the lead letter had gone out 2 years ago, and the question is, are they keeping track? And then they sent it out again.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, are they determining who responded the first time? So the no progress is, the letter went out 2 years ago, and are they sending out the letter repeatedly to the same people, even if they've responded?
I'm lost where we are.
We're starting on the bottom of page 5.
Okay.
715
Gotcha.
discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So the letter went out 2 years ago, was sent out again without it being known if to the same recipients?
Two recipients of the first one who had already responded. Are they asking the same?
Emily, on page 3, under 85 Brick Kiln, where it says Mr. Kroger at the beginning of the paragraph. What I was saying was, once the plus unit was installed, that would be capitalized, and the system properly set up, he's now really be performing well. Is that what it's called, George? Plus?
So once the
Yeah.
Cap plus? Sorry?
capitalized
Yeah, yeah.
plus.
I think it's a plus sign, right, George?
Yep.
Oh, plus sign?
It's a
They
plus.
wrote it on their plan as PLUS.
Did they? I thought it was plus sign.
That'd be really confusing in a sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way it's depicted in the plan set is
Yeah, you're right.
or the word,
Okay,
yes.
so I added, so it's once the Amphidrome plus unit was installed.
Perfect, thank you.
On page 5, the freshwater pond quality continued discussion outside Innovation. We discussed sending letter directly to select board members ahead of joint meeting. Submit old letter regarding cost accommodation as an additional topic. Did we draft a letter?
I believe we did.
Sorry, where are you?
I'm on page 5, the freshwater pond quality.
There's a draft letter that, when I asked the end of the week, George, was that a final draft? You tweaked it the week last
Okay,
meeting,
right.
you tweaked it, yep.
That letter that I wrote, I thought that Kevin was going to put the final touch
Yeah.
on it.
And should I go ahead and send it to the select
Yeah.
board?
If you do that, please CC me so I have an archive of it, that's all.
Okay.
And then we're saying submit old letter from the board regarding cost accommodation?
We
That
did that.
was-
Is that a separate thought?
That is, it's
Yeah.
the cost accommodation
Yeah.
is what we
Just
You
talked
must
about
have
Well, we've
talked
talked about it.
Ram,
Do you
yeah.
want me to
Well,
I just didn't do that
It was
because
not
it became
connected.
clear that they already had seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was
So I didn't
not
resend it.
connected with the pond.
but it was,
They had it.
But yeah, maybe we just get rid of that sentence because it's kind of confusing.
We already did.
Wait, Jed, you want to keep it?
just leave it there.
Because it doesn't have to do with,
I understand that, but it was part of the discussion, so it should be part of our minutes.
then we should be clear regarding cost accommodation on IA
Yes.
systems.
on
Yes.
IA system.
Or it could even say fair distribution of cost.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, I had no idea what that sentence was
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And you're the one who brought it up, so it's probably good
Right,
that we
because it was out of
clarified.
context, it was hard to.
Yeah.
I didn't, I know I didn't raise the point yet earlier, but the whole 70-30 split just is sort of this mysterious.
It's arbitrary.
Origin.
It's,
But the point is fair. Whatever, you
Right.
know. Yeah, we'll see.
Well-
It doesn't really matter what we say right now. It matters whatever this
Oh, yeah.
this committee decides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So-
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
70-30
Yeah.
is tough.
okay.
I have no sense of whether they were interested in it or not.
yeah, they would.
They would.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can talk about that in a minute. Anything else on the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes of January 27th as amended.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, new business and scheduled future meetings. Is there anything we should do in response to our discussion tonight with the select board? Any new agenda items, any new discussions we should have to follow up?
Do we have an expectation of them following up with us, or?
On the fair distribution of
Yeah.
costs and the setup of the committee? Not until they actually take action and they ask for one of us to participate. I don't think we will need to discuss with them again unless
we
anyone
see
else.
no
Unless
action
they-
happening.
That's what,
Yeah.
if they don't.
If we don't see anything happening, then
Yeah,
we
then we
definitely
should
follow up.
I mean, I think,
And what's a reasonable amount of time to?
well, I think that the Water Quality Management Committee will actually continue to push this. And they're advisory, but they are definitely active, and their meetings are their meetings are well reported, I should say. So
Ours
especially,
are too.
yeah, thank you.
Very well reported.
Right? Oh, by the way, now that you're here, I can embarrass you. Congratulations on your degree.
Thank you very much.
What was it in?
I got a MFA in creative writing.
This is pretty creative.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, is that I follow everything now. I know so much about septic that I thought I would.
Well, you should think
Slash
about
never
board.
wanted to.
Because, A, I need to leave, and B, we need more women on the board, right?
Right.
I'm just so busy.
Such an appealing offer, however. Did I hear right, did Chairman Muscali say that the select board is looking to change it so any regulations we might promulgate will go through them, or was that specific to
I think
a
just
certain item?
It was
Yes.
not clearly stated. What was he
Yeah.
saying?
It was specific to the short-term rental bylaw.
Right.
Yes.
And if the short-term rental bylaw were to be set up in such a way that it allowed for additional regulations to be promulgated by whoever,
That,
his desire would be to have those regulations subject to approval of the select board. My opinion of that is that if they want to do it, then the select board should do it. It should not. There shouldn't be. We're a regulatory board, and it shouldn't be something that goes to the select board. If the select board wants to do it, the select board should do it, and it shouldn't
Simply, it's public health. They can't, I mean,
well, that's what the
the
whole thing.
deal is, chapter 2 is chapter 2. You send an inspector into a place to do an inspection under chapter 2, state sanitary code, they cannot unsee what they see.
Right. It's state
They have to write enforcement.
For whatever reason, this bylaw is supposed to come with a future Board of Health regulation on top of it. I think that was the intent of this bylaw, which I found a little different, because usually we have bylaws, we have regulations, I don't need to follow two.
They don't overlap each other.
Yeah, but I think the intent was that you would have a future regulation that would require the public health component of the registration.
Well, the public health component is already in front of us. We can't go less than chapter 2 of the code.
No, but you can make a requirement that they have to be inspected
Yeah,
X often,
yeah.
and they have to fully comply with the state sanitary code, and they have 21 days to fix, or they can rent for this, and you can make a regulation on top of it.
Yeah, the
If you
safest
do
thing.
something like that, so here's the thing, I'm just gonna caution if we do that. Is you guys, as you know, there's a lot of things we regulate. And on the scale of importance, having 1 or 2 full-timers doing nothing but rentals, and then having a part-timer do food, and having a third party do our communicable disease makes absolutely no sense to a health agent.
All
That's
I
my
think-
only thing, and I have cautioned everybody who's on the short-term rental, is that, yes, to certain people, the short-term rental thing is extremely important. But if we need to think about ranking things, and do we have a 20% of the health department dedicated to chasing short-term rentals, when long-term rentals are much more of a public health issue than short-term rentals, because the short-term person can go home, or the short-term person can deal with it for a week.
Right.
The long-term person's
Exposure is
stuck there
Right.
for a very extended period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So from a public health standpoint, can I not write this, please? Jackass is the way this whole thing's working with short-term rentals.
Definitely right.
But there has been a death of somebody at a house that was an Airbnb that didn't have a smoke or fire alarm.
Yes.
And it could just as well have been somebody break their neck on a step that wasn't in good repair.
Yeah.
So my inclination would be to say just what you did. You have to meet the code, and we outsource that. They find their sanitarian to go in and do it, and RS can go in and inspect.
Interesting.
And then they give you the report and say, that property met the code.
Yeah.
That way, there's no full-time person doing it. The only thing you do is get yourself an electronic reporting system for Chapter 2 of the State
Right, we
Sanitary
already do.
Code, have them go right through and do the clicking, and that's it.
Interestingly, the building code says that thou shall be done annually.
Oh, that's their code
The
for it?
building code just put it in there starting, the building
Wow,
code
good
requires.
luck with that. But their building code is not the sanitary code.
No, but think about this, if it's gonna work its way out to be that requirement, CSL or otherwise, CSL means a construction supervisor's license, that's how it was originally written. I can see a scenario where the building department, health department have a housing department with both criteria met in one inspector. Because you could do that in one inspector, do both.
Right.
You're not gonna want to physically have two people driving around in town.
No, I agree.
Chasing short-term rentals and not, I'd rather have people triple up on my restaurants. I mean, it's just the way I look at public health. I'd rather have a communicable disease nurse
Same here.
full-time sitting in my office rather than using the VNA.
I'm gonna eat at a restaurant. I'm not gonna rent a short-term rental in town.
That's the problem with this whole direction that we're going.
Right.
That's all.
If I might, for a future agenda item?
Wait, one,
Okay.
before we leave this topic,
Yes, yes.
one very quick, I know, I gotta go home too. If the intent was that the Board of Health was actually gonna pass a regulation, it would have been great to know that, because then maybe
Well, I
we
think-
might have had.
So I
someone
don't know if the select board knows
participate.
that. I just think when they thought about this, that you would build on a regulation.
Okay.
I don't think the group knew that per se. I
Okay.
just know as the short-term rental's working and the way this was originally coming, it's been several years in different iterations over the.
Oh, I know.
That was brought up in the
It has.
past. I don't know if it's still true.
So the short-term rental word bylaw kept changing right
Yeah.
up to the time that the select board, like the Friday before the select board was going to review it in terms of inclusion on the warrant. So I think that there are probably still changes that need to be made to it. And, some of the questions, some of this debate will come on town meeting floor. And it might be, if the Board of Health is in,
You may want to have this as a future agenda item on the next agenda to
Yeah.
review.
Right.
Okay.
So I think it would be probably appropriate, for example, for the chair on town meeting floor to discuss whatever issues the Board of Health
Right.
might have
With this.
with this bylaw that we haven't read yet, because it indirectly involves us.
Okay, so
So-
definitely
That's
put
a
that on
topic.
the agenda. and
Do you want that as a topic for next meeting?
I think we-
Sure.
yeah.
We in reviewing these minutes, reminded me that we did have a question for the water superintendent.
Yeah.
We obviously have had challenges getting the water superintendent to respond to us directly. I think we could put a letter together with certain response items that we want from the water superintendent, send it to the water superintendent's boss and the town manager, and as well, and say, we would like to have a discussion of these particular items. Amongst them, the lead letter response, the response rate, any data that they have on it. Drinking water protection, including the status of the monitoring wells. Zone A incursions and uses. Zone B protections and the status. And any other status updates on freshwater protection, for example, the ponds and the implications of cyanobacterial blooms in the ponds that have drinking water wells adjacent to them. I don't know if there are other topics of particular interest but I think we need to keep moving on this.
Yeah, I think there's the permit. Remember, they said they were gonna renew the whole permit because of the new treatment plant.
Oh, okay.
Having the disinfection. And they had a scoring that they had to see how critical something was. But that changed as soon as the new plant went in.
Right.
And are we in the process of reviewing
Okay.
and renewing that? I think there was supposed to be a whole redoing of that.
Right, okay.
There was also just the Long Pond management plan.
Right.
Right, that's what
the
I'm
long pond
talking
management.
about.
Okay,
That was supposed to be reviewed in context of the new treatment plant, because the old one had a whole thing about, I think, Giardia and everything else, but that changed
with
when the
filter.
disinfection
yeah.
changed and other process changes.
Uh-huh. But it also, that plan also indicated that the Board of Health would be
Yes,
consulted on in various ways, and that never happens. And, I know, Jed, you mentioned by email in the run-up to this meeting, and to the meeting, the joint meeting, the question of the YMCA.
Oh, right.
What are you thinking?
Why can't the YMCA be in sewer?
Yeah, me too, but that's a little, the horse has already left the barn, right? We're pretty far down the road with that.
They haven't approved a
Development.
septic plan.
We
yeah,
approved it a
we
long time
approved
ago.
the septic plan.
Yeah.
We approved the septic plan, it doesn't mean that their septic's installed by any means.
No,
They
they,
barely
How far
broke
along are
ground.
they with,
they
They
haven't broken
just broke ground.
Did they? Oh, they just
Well,
did?
technically speaking, they broke ground.
Did
Like
they get
people.
the permit forgiven? Permit fee?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was a request.
That was a request, I have no
well,
idea.
let's add that to the list that we'd like to talk to the superintendent about then is, was it the right decision to remove the septic system in, where the YMCA is? And if not, is there any recourse? Just talk with them about it at minimum.
Talk to who about it?
The water superintendent.
It's wastewater, you'd be talking to the wastewater superintendent.
No. Then it's in.
Some protection along pond area.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
should we
It
have,
might be both.
and, supposedly, if the process went correctly, he would have been apprised, like you said, the water superintendent should have seen the plan and signed off on it,
Right, or raised a flag.
or raised the flag, right?
yeah, there should have been communication between his department and this department.
Right.
Because we went right to the IA system.
Yeah.
So that's future.
Yes.
Well, also, there were some other things that we hoped to talk with the select board about that weren't on the agenda. And, maybe some of that's on me because I've been.
No, I did the list.
It was the ponds committee, the ponds
Well, the
stuff.
pond letter wasn't done yet, so I
Right.
didn't put the ponds, but there was other things on there that,
There was one
Like
more
conservation around Long Pond.
thing.
Yes.
Yes, we put
Yes.
that on there too.
yes, they didn't put that on the agenda. I think they think it's gonna be handled with the pending, town meeting article
Yeah.
to hold them
Yeah.
in conservation.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It looks like that's already moving.
All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Dinner?
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.